guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Allison here, and today I sort of wanted to do an update on the Kenzie Burke 21-day reset. And so basically, as some background, about a month ago I posted a video about the Kenzie Burke 21-day reset and sort of like my review of it. And so for those who don't know, Kenzie Burke is this like fitness influencer who sort of blew up about a month or two ago, just about like with herself and with her brand that she refers to as KB Health. And basically she came out with this 21-day reset, and it's this book or this guide that has these guidelines that she follows that basically lead you to a healthier lifestyle and to your best body. And so it has guidelines for food combining, it has a variety of workouts, it has self-care ideas, recipes, and so much more. And essentially you go to her website and you can buy it for $45, and that's what I did. And in her research, she talks about optimizing digestion and essentially how certain food groups digest better together. And so if you eat those together and your body ends up taking less energy to digest your food, it can then put that energy elsewhere into other places, like reducing fat in your body, helping clear up your skin, etc., etc. And so I'll have my initial video that I made linked down below, because it goes way more in depth into what the review is than what I'm saying right now. But basically, you're supposed to combine proteins with veggies, starches with veggies, only eat fruit in the morning on an empty stomach, and you're not supposed to combine two kinds of proteins together or combine proteins with starches. I initially bought it because I follow Kenzie Elizabeth and Maggie Macdonald on like YouTube and Instagram and stuff, and I've been following both of them for a long time, and they were both talking about it. They both became friends with Kenzie Burke, and they both just kept making videos and posts about how much they really were enjoying it and how much of a positive experience they were having with it. And on top of that, I was also seeing, as she was blowing up like crazy on Instagram, lots of people were sort of tagging her in their like transformation photos of before and after doing the reset, food combining and everything. And a lot of people were especially talking about how like their bloating has gone down a lot. And just personally for me, like bloating has been something that I've struggled with. And so I guess a combination of all of those things were sort of like enough persuasion for me to be like, oh, okay, yeah, like this is something that I'll try. I thought that I would explain sort of some of the controversy around her name and sort of go through some of the different debates that I've seen regarding her and her brand, and then sort of from there just let you guys know like what my thoughts are on it, what my opinions are and stuff like that. And so I'm not quite sure where the controversy all began, but just for me personally, like after a while I just started to notice like a bunch of comments on her posts, and a lot of people were sort of saying different things, like how she promotes an eating disorder, she has no real nutritional background but is giving all of these facts about living a healthy lifestyle, etc., etc. And so from what my understanding is that a major factor that played into sort of a lot of people realizing these things is this video that Abbey made, and she gave her thoughts about food combining and her thoughts about Kenzie Burke's reset. And so before I made this video and sort of decided what I wanted to talk about, I watched her video so that I could sort of see what lots of people, I wanted to gain lots of different perspectives and sort of form my opinions like after hearing several sides of the argument. I got some takeaways from the video which I'll talk about, but I sort of wanted to group my thoughts into different sections, I guess, different paragraphs, I don't really know. But one thing that I will say is that food combining is rooted in older tradition. So I know one debate that I see is sort of like food combining is made up, and I'll sort of get into later why people think that. But from what I've seen other people say and what Abbey does say in her video is that the idea of food combining in general is rooted in older tradition. So that in itself is not like an idea that Kenzie Burke came up with, just to be clear. One thing that I do see a lot of people comment about, and sort of one debate that I see surrounding her name, is the way that she explains digestion and like her whole theory of optimizing digestion and stuff like that, and a lot of people are saying how her facts aren't accurate in the way that she explains that. And that was also what Abbey was saying in her video, and she was explaining that just the way that Kenzie explains it is like a one-lane street, and certain things need to digest with other things so that they go through your body quicker. Like she was saying, a lot of that stuff is incorrect, inaccurate and stuff. And for me, it's like, I'm not a scientist, a nutrition, a health guru, etc., etc. So like, all of this information that I get is not stuff that I know for myself or from my own educational background or anything. But at the time when I heard what Kenzie said, it made sense, and watching Abby's video, what she said also makes sense. So I'll just say that my final statement is probably somewhere in the middle. I lean more towards Abbey on that part, just because Abbey does have more of an educational background as far as I know, because she's just like a legit dietitian. But I just feel like ultimately, like, I just need to do my own personal, like, in-depth research before I jump to one conclusion. And I just like to do my own research in general to form my own opinions. And so, which I guess I'll just go ahead and give this as a disclaimer. Like, the point of this video is not to be like a bash on Kenzie Burke video or like a negative video or anything like that. Like, I just want it to be informative, to sort of explain some of the stuff going on as far as I know, and just to give sort of like my opinion on it as somebody who did make a video about it in the beginning, and somebody who has tried it for a month now. And I just wanted to say, but it's not like me picking sides or anything like that. I also know that Abbey tried to fact check some of Kenzie's information in her video, and ultimately was like, I can't find that much stuff about it, and that does make me more skeptical of Kenzie for sure. But I've also seen people on Instagram sort of say how, like, you have to take into consideration that some health studies about certain topics, they don't get funded for whatever reason, and they don't get published. So just because you don't see a study, like, that's not good enough information, I guess, to not believe it. Which, I mean, obviously published studies have their value, but I do believe that there are certain things that don't get published, that don't get put out there. And I mean, so I would say that I have seen arguments that are persuasive on both sides. And also because I would say I'm in the middle, because food combining is more popular in other countries around the world than it is here. I've also seen a lot of comments on on Kenzie's Instagram about how she consistently posts skinny photos of herself, and I guess, like, with the reset, she promises that she'll go to sleep with a flat stomach. And I know a lot of people are saying how, like, that's not something that you should promise people, and you know, she does have a lot of followers, so she impacts a lot of people, especially a lot of younger people. And so my thoughts on that are sort of like, I feel like if she were just a normal person posting pictures of herself, you know, selfies, bikini pics, whatever, it would be fine. I understand that because she has the added layer of selling a product, that it makes it a little more controversial. So I would say maybe if she weren't selling it, or maybe if she wasn't necessarily promoting a healthy lifestyle but was just posting pictures of herself, then I would be like, oh, I don't understand why people are so mad. But I will also say, though, that I've seen a lot of influencers lately, Kiana, Naomi in particular, sort of emphasizing how you need to use Instagram like it's your responsibility to control who you follow and what you look at on your feed. And I agree with her, and the fact that, like, we have the choice to choose who we follow and who we don't follow. And I feel like if you get, or if somebody that you follow on Instagram makes you feel negatively about yourself, or just negative in general, then I say unfollow them. I say you should just be following people who make you feel good and make you feel encouraged and inspired. And as users of this platform, I do think it is our responsibility, in a sense, to, you know, regulate who we do and don't follow on there. And I sort of see how, like, also as influencers, obviously it's your responsibility to watch what you put out and stuff. So I'm not like saying, like, oh, just put out whatever, because people can choose whether or not to follow you. But I do feel like some comments that I've seen are like, oh, you should watch what you post because of the people that follow you. And my just personal opinion is that it is also this responsibility on our part to only fill our feeds with stuff that make us happy and excited and motivated and inspired and stuff like that. And so for me, it's like following Kenzie, I would say just looking at those pictures on her Instagram have had no negative impact on me. In particular, I would say I don't look at her photos and go, oh, like, I want to be skinny like her one day, or oh, anything like that. Like, for me, if there's any message I've gotten from her page and her brand in general, it's that if you eat healthier and better foods for your body, like, look at all the benefits that you can see. Like, almost if you take better care of yourself on the inside, like, look at all the benefits that you'll see from the outside, more so like that. And so I can certainly understand, especially with the whole promise of a flat stomach thing, I see for sure. And I can understand how, like, she can portray a certain image of beauty on her page. And so, like, in this case, if I were to provide some constructive criticism to her, not that my opinion matters, I would maybe tell Kenzie to, like, emphasize or just elaborate more on the fact that, like, a flat stomach does not equal, like, a standard of beauty or anything, you know. I also do understand people's frustration of Kenzie promoting a diet as if she had all of this educational background and nutrition and stuff like that. And from what I can tell, she did go to some sort of nutrition school. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I'll insert it here. And so it's not like she's coming from, like, no background at all and then was like, I'm gonna speak about nutrition and stuff like that. But I mean, I get what people are saying, but also for me, I have seen, like, some people on Instagram saying how, like, they literally printed out this book and gave it to their doctor, and their doctor like, recommended it to them as well and said it was great for their body and said it was a great idea and stuff like that. So I mean, of course, I take everything that Abbey says into serious consideration because she is a legit dietitian and stuff like that. But I would just say that those reasons are why I'm not 100% like against Kenzie in that regard. So now that I feel like there's more background as to, like, what the controversy even is of Kenzie, I thought that I would share sort of, like, my thoughts and my experience on the situation, on the reset in general. And I would say, for starters, I mean, nobody's going to agree on everything. You know, there are lots of diets out there. There are, you know, the keto diet comes to mind. You know, some people choose to be vegan, some people choose to be vegetarian, and, you know, there are so many other diets out there that I'm not even naming, pescatarian, other stuff. And I would say that, I mean, every diet arguably has their own benefits or pros and cons. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in the fact that, like, everybody absolutely has the right to their own opinion, their own freedom of speech, and whatever else. And if you disagree, say, with what I'm saying in this video, or, like, anything that Kenzie Burke believes, I think that's okay. You know, I'm also a firm believer of doing your own research in order to formulate your own opinion and not just to create a conclusion based on what's popular in the moment. If you hate on Kenzie just because that's the trendy thing to do right now, I think that's lame. If you hate on Kenzie because you did your research and you disagree with her facts, or you tried it and it sucked for you, then I completely understand why you're on the negative side of that. And I think for the same thing, I think don't be, you know, this big fan of Kenzie just because it's cool and of her reset. Like, you know, stand behind what you believe in and stand behind what you research and stuff. And obviously this experience is different for everybody, which makes sense because all of our bodies are so incredibly unique and different and individual. And so I really never expected this to go exactly the same for anybody anyways. And for me, it's like, if you try any sort of diet or food combining or some type of food and your body doesn't react well or you see negative benefits, then stop using it. And I say, if it's the opposite, you try a new food, you try a new, I don't know, vitamin, a new diet, whatever, and you do see positive benefits, then I say continue with it, keep working on it and stuff like that. And so for me, I will say I never really followed food combining 100% in the first place, and so maybe that could be an explanation as to why this lifestyle is more sustainable for me in particular as opposed to the next person. And yeah, the reason why I resonated so much with her in the first place was because she always emphasized doing what works best for you, eating what you want, starting at any point that you can, doing what part of the reset that you can, shopping at what grocery stores you can, etc., etc. And just that sort of attitude of like doing what works best for you as an individual, I felt as though was always really encouraging, and she made me feel comfortable with starting this health journey now, because I know it can be hard if you know you want to change but you just literally don't know where to start, and I know it can feel intimidating and overwhelming. And so I feel like just her encouraging nature is why I always resonated with her. And so I feel like I've always taken her to be a pretty genuine and encouraging person. And more importantly, I want to say that Kenzie Burke is fairly new, I guess, in the social media game. Not even new, but like has just really become relevant recently. But Kenzie Elizabeth, who's one of the original promoters of this lifestyle, I have been watching her for 4 or 5 years now, and I just know in my heart that she would never promote anything that would harm somebody. And I feel like through the years of watching her, and because it's been so much time, I've grown to have a lot of trust in her, which is why her promoting it was something that persuaded me in the first place. And so I feel like obviously if you don't have that connection with them, that can change your opinion. And I have had positive results from this reset, and I have seen positive effects, and I feel better inside and out. And so obviously my opinions at the end of the day are formed around those feelings of positivity. And like I said before, I'd never followed food combining perfectly. For starters, I think ideally it's supposed to be a plant-based diet, and I do eat meat. I eat meat every day. So through this reset, I've gotten into a real habit of paying attention to what I put into my body. Also, as a result of paying attention to the food that I eat, I've also paid better attention to how my body responds to certain foods. And so, for example, I've realized that while I thought I really, really loved eating bread, my body doesn't really care for it. As far as physical changes go, I've noticed a lot less bloating in my body as a result now, because she has workouts in her book. I sort of combine different parts of it because she separates them by body part, and I sort of combine them all into one general workout. And as a result, I've noticed my core is getting stronger over time, my legs have toned up, my arms have got more toned. Some of my clothes are starting to fit me better than they used to, stuff like that. And also working out has sort of become a part of my daily habit now, which is cool, and something I don't dread anymore. But especially if I see a new YouTube video that I want to watch, then I'm I can pull up the video and just work out for 20 or 30 minutes and just do that. And also what's cool is I went to donate blood a couple weeks ago, which you should donate blood if you can. I have a whole Instagram post about it, but anyways. And before you donate blood, they take your iron and your blood pressure, amongst other things, because they have to be in certain levels. And my iron before used to always just be too low, but it was actually a great number this time, and my blood pressure was really good. And in the past I've had pretty high blood pressure, so that's exciting to see that they've gotten better. And in addition to the physical changes in my body, I would also say that mentally and emotionally I'm in a much better state than I used to be in. Feeling motivated and encouraged to take better care of your health can really change your life. I wake up feeling proud of myself every day, knowing that I'm really taking steps towards improving my health. And at the end of the day, it's for me. I'm not trying to look good for anybody or anything, but I just knowing that I'm taking care of myself and my health. And I also would say that as a result, I've gained some confidence this summer for sure. I'm not at my ideal weight or anything, but I've gained confidence in myself, and mentally knowing that I'm working towards being my best self. As a result, it's I look in the mirror and I see my best self, and I know I'm looking at my current best self, and that makes me confident. I don't even know if that made sense, but you guys get what I'm saying. But anyways, I've also gained more confidence in the kitchen in terms of cooking and stuff, which is exciting. And I also know that that there's been a positive shift in my emotional and mental state, just in the fact that for the first time since I started college, and I'm going to be a rising junior at Vanderbilt, but for the first time I'm genuinely really excited to go back to school and everything. And honestly, I realized this as I was going through the Zaxby's drive-thru today, which I got a salad because I've actually become a real salad person, guys. And just as I was sitting there, I sort of realized that, like, I am so excited to go back, and it is because I just feel really good and, like, happy as a person right now, if that makes any sense. Said a lot. And if you made it this far, to conclude, I just am really happy that I stumbled upon this reset. And Kenzie Burke, I know some other people feel otherwise, and certainly if you want to, express your opinion in the comments below. But I just know that I've had nothing but a positive experience from all of this, and I'm excited to see where my health journey goes from here. Ultimately, everybody has the right to think for themselves, to form their own opinions, to do what they want to their bodies, and at the end of the day, those things are most important. With that, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
To be honest,